our last episode, The Bharat Awakening, we stood in the heart of New Delhi. We saw how India is claiming its sovereign stake in the AI race, moving from being the office of the world to the brain of the world. We saw how Bhashini is breaking the language tax and how the Indian AI mission is democratizing compute for the last mile. If you haven't heard that journey into the new frontline of the global power shift, I highly suggest that you check episode 7. But today, we move from the where of the power to the what of reality. In episode 6, we asked if math could be prejudiced. Today, we ask if our eyes can be trusted at all. For over a century, a photograph was a receipt of reality. It was the proof. If there was a photo of it, it has definitely happened. We looked into the lens to see the world as it was, a mirror held up to our shared existence. But that mirror is cracking. We have entered an era where the lens no longer captures light, it calculates it. We are no longer just looking into a captured world, we are looking into a synthetic one. We see photorealistic faces of people who have never drawn breath. We hear voices, perfectly modulated, familiar, and warm, that were never spoken by any human vocal cords. We have entered the era of the synthetic mirror, a world where the lens no longer captures light. Today, we are looking at the death of truth. We are asking, in a world where everything can be faked, what is the value of the original? It started with the Pope in a puffer jacket. It was a moment of global amusement. A photorealistic image of the Pope in a high fashioned white coat. It was harmless, but it was a warning shot. It proved that the uncanny valley had been crossed. But the amusement quickly turned into anxiety. We have seen AI generated images of political leaders being arrested, or unrest in cities where there is a perfect calm. In 2024, during the New Hampshire primary, thousands of voters received an AI generated robocall from what sounded exactly like President Biden, telling them not to vote. This isn't just editing, this is synthetic sabotage. We are seeing the rise of vocal deepfakes used in kidnapping scams, where parents hear their children's voices crying for help, only to find out that it was a 15-second audio clip cloned from a social media video. Even our architect Elias isn't safe. Imagine a deepfake video of Elias confessing to a structural flaw in a high rise project. Before he can even log into his account to deny it, the stock price of his firm has plummeted and the city has issued a stop work order. In the synthetic mirror, the damage happens at the speed of light. The most terrifying front of the mirror is the battlefield. Misinformation is no longer a propaganda. Rather, it is a synthetic weapon. The most dangerous application of the synthetic mirror isn't in a gallery, it is on the battlefield. Misinformation has always been a weapon of war, but AI has now given it a supersonic speed. We have seen war talk videos where AI generated explosions are spliced into real footage to manufacture atrocities. For example, in the Russia Ukraine conflict, a deepfake appeared showing President Zelensky telling his soldiers to surrender. It was debunked very quickly, but the goal wasn't to succeed, it was to create a micro moment of hesitation. This leads to a psychological phenomenon called the liar's dividend. When the public knows that anything can be fake, they eventually stop believing that anything is real. This is the ultimate victory of the deceiver. When a real video of war crime or a corrupt act surfaces, the perpetrator can simply shrug and say, it's just an AI deepfake. By polluting the digital commons with fakes, we are destroying the very possibility of a shared reality. We are trading the mirror for a maze. The fog of war is no longer just about smoke and shadows. It is about a digital haze that makes the truth impossible to find. And the damage isn't just psychological, it is a systemic one. It leads to economic stability. For example, in 2023, image of an explosion near the Pentagon went viral. For a few frantic minutes, the S&P 500 dipped. It was a fake, a hallucination. But the market didn't care about the truth. It cared about the perception of the truth. Similar to this, a single AI-generated tweet can trigger a high-frequency trading algorithms and wipe out billions in market value in minutes. The second effect is the death of evidence. So, generative AI has turned every smartphone into a high end film studio, but it has also turned every desktop into a propaganda machine. This is generative media. We are moving from editing the reality to generating our own reality from scratch. In our legal systems, video evidence has always been a gold standard for decades, but that is now under threat. If every video is potentially a forgery, our ability to hold power accountable through visual proof evaporates. And the third effect would be the originality crisis. Now, think about the artist's brush. For centuries, art was the result of human hand struggling with a medium. Now that medium is simply prompt engineering. We are seeing artists use AI as a new brush to create worlds that were previously impossible to imagine. But we are also seeing the devaluation of the human effort. If an AI can generate a Rembrandt in 6 seconds, the artist who spent 40 years learning the craft finds their value compressed. So, how do we fix a mirror that has been shattered? How do we survive the death of truth? The solution isn't just better eyes, it is better architecture. We need a four-layered defense to approach this. The first layer being the nutrition label for media. For example, a C2PA standard. We must move towards a world of content credentials. Think of it as a cryptographic seal that travels with an image. It records the provenance, like where it was captured, how it was edited, and if AI was involved. Companies like Adobe, Microsoft, and Sony are already building this into their cameras and the software. Companies like Google have also started introducing such seals for AI generated images and content to clearly demarcate as AI generated. If an image does not have a provenance seal, it shouldn't be trusted. The second step would be a legislative labeling and liability. So, we need laws that mandate the labeling of all synthetic content. If a political ad uses synthetic voice, it must carry a permanent, unremovable disclaimer. Furthermore, we must establish AI defamation laws that holds the creators of the deepfakes and the platforms that knowingly host them liable for the real world damage that they cause. The third step would be adversarial detection and literacy. So, we are building detection AI models trained to find the digital fingerprints that human eyes miss, such as inconsistent blood flow in a face or unnatural lighting on the pupil, etc. But the final line of defense is human literacy. We have to teach ourselves to be digital skeptics, to look for the source and not just the image. And our final step is obviously the human in the loop, so the human verification. We must move back towards our primary sources. In a world of synthetic noise, the value of trusted boots on ground journalism and eyewitness accounts becomes astronomical. The original isn't valuable because it's perfect. The original is valuable because it is an accountable one. We are the first generation to live in a world where our eyes can no longer be trusted. But perhaps that is a hidden gift of the horizon shift. It forces us to value the things that cannot be synthesized. For example, intention, accountability, and shared experience. In the world of fakes, the original becomes a premium. It is a human story, the accountability, and the shared experience that cannot be synthesized. A deepfake can mimic a voice but cannot share a memory. An algorithm can generate a face, but it cannot feel the weight of a choice. The value of the original is the human story behind it. We are the architects of this mirror. It is up to us to ensure that when we look into it, we still recognize ourselves. I am Abhishek Roy. If you found today's exploration of the synthetic mirror useful, please subscribe and share this episode with someone who would also benefit from the same. In the world of fakes, be the signal, not the noise. See you on the horizon.